Good evening and welcome to Delay But Not Denied, the podcast. Tonight I will be having my best friend Trevita Harris on tonight. But before I begin, I would like to go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, I come to you right now asking you to be in the midst of the conversation tonight. Be it a blessing to the hearers and seers of your word. And these and all other things we pray in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So without further ado, Miss Pravita,
Yes, ma'am, I am here.
how are you?
I am good. How about yourself?
I am here. Um,
I understand.
Listen, I wanted to talk to you about first and foremost, congratulations on publishing a book recently. And I just wanted to talk to you about for a moment how you got started from writing a book to publishing a book. How did it all start for you? And if you don't mind, before you answer those questions, introduce yourself, please, to the audience.
Okay, well, I don't know if you guys can hear me because of that music that's playing in the background.
Where is
Can
it
you hear
coming
me?
from? I hear you.
I'm not sure. Okay.
Okay.
My name is Trevita Harris. Okay, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what happened. But anyway, I'm Trevita Harris. I'm from Spartanburg, South Carolina. I am a mother of three. I am a grandmother of two. I am an author, a publisher, and your best friend. Um, I think that's about it about me.
Okay. So I asked, um, what made you write your first, what inspired you to write your first book, and how did it get you to the point of having your own publishing company?
Oh goodness, that's a loaded question. Um, well, I've always written a lot, and I had always posted some of my poetry on Facebook, and it was always, well, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. You wrote your book, and once you did your first one, you came to me and said, okay, now you have absolutely no excuses, so you need to do this. So after putting it together, first go round, I got really frustrated. Um, and I was like, you know what, this isn't gonna happen. I'm irritated, I'm frustrated. I threw the laptop and was like, you know what, if it's meant to be, it will be. My daughter ended up having to have her wisdom teeth taken, and my boys sent me to my room and told me I wasn't allowed to come out. And I was like, what am I supposed to do while I'm in here? And they were like, well, you'll figure it out. So I was like, God, if this is meant to be, it shall be. So I'm going to put 26 of my favorite poems together in a book and see what happens. And so basically, that's what I did. And once I did that, it was like, okay, I had no idea how to format, how to create a cover or any of that kind of stuff. I was just like, I'm going to learn how to do it. So, first one wasn't great. I just put it together. I was like, if it's meant to be, it shall be.
Right.
So, did that and everything.
I think I lost her for a second. It says she's offline. She's driving. I do know that. But while we get into that, well,
One, it was like, oh, okay, I really got this down packed a little bit more. So, I saw the personal growth within myself. And so, a friend of mine that I was talking to was basically like, okay, we're gonna start a publishing company, and I was like, well, that's about 5 years down the line for me.
right.
Not anything that I feel like I need to be doing right now. However, they were like, well, do the research, come back to me, and then we'll see what happens. And so they were insistent upon me setting it up and doing everything to start the company. And that's how I got started. Just
So,
wanting to be able to teach other people what I do. And if they don't want to do it, then they got me to help them become published authors.
so what was the motivation behind you actually going from just sharing your poetry and your words to actually taking on clients and helping them fulfill their dreams of becoming an author? Like, what was it? Was it the complications of trying to figure it out on your own, or
Well, I want to say it was partly because I didn't know who to ask or anything like that.
Mhm.
So without me knowing who to ask and me doing the research for myself, it was just something that I wanted to share with someone else. It's basically any knowledge that I get or gain from first time experience. I don't want to keep it to myself.
right,
So I'm willing and always willing to share it with other people because I know there's a lot of people out here that want to write a book but don't know where to start. And the overwhelming thing is the question is always I don't know where to start,
right,
but it's a simple process because if you don't know where to start, the first thing you got to start doing is writing.
right.
And most people think that that's still too complicated. But once you actually set aside the time to actually start putting your thoughts on paper, don't worry about trying to edit or doing all that kind of stuff. Over time, you'll get better at doing that, but you got to get those thoughts on paper first. And I just wanted people to understand that it's not an overwhelming process as much as it may seem. Some people do make it complicated, and some people really be wanting, thousands of dollars to help people learn the same information that's out there for free.
Absolutely.
And I'm not one for, trying to, I didn't get into this business to make a lot of money. I got into it because I want people to understand that it is affordable if they want to do it. And whatever they learn from me, please share it with somebody else. Don't go to
Absolutely.
your grave holding on to this stuff.
Right, right. Well, I would like to say that you are phenomenal at what you do. Um,
Thanks.
we both started from the bottom as far as like wanting to, well, I don't even know if you wanted to share your stuff. I just know that I came to your house and was like, look, you write too good. Your poetry it needs to be heard or whatever. And just to, because me and you, we go back to 12 years old, and we've always bounced off each other for the most part. And sometimes we both get in a place where like, yeah, I'm not doing it. But I'm so happy that you took what I was offering to you and ran. Like, I crawled so you could walk, and then you took off running, and you haven't stopped yet, and I love that for you. Um, what has been the easiest part of having your own publishing company?
Um, I want to say the easiest part for me is actually the editing process. As hard as most people may think that is, it's really the easiest part for me. And I think it's more so because I love English and I love to write. So it makes it easier for me. So
Mhm.
it's one of those things that once you give me something, I'm like, okay, I'm already checking for sentence structure and all of that stuff and making sure things flow together the way that they should. So that's really the easiest part, even though I know some editors out there are going to be like, yeah, that ain't the easy part. But for me, it is. And I love doing that part.
What's the hardest part for you?
Oh my God, the hardest part I want to say sometimes can be the cover designs and the outlines of certain things. So sometimes those covers and the intricate designs and things of that nature, sometimes it makes it a little difficult and frustrating. Um, but as you know, I'm one of those people, I might get a little annoyed, but I ain't gonna quit. I'm gonna figure it out until I get it right.
This last joint venture that we had, um, the back and forth with the cover was
Yes.
like, I think everybody wanted to just get on a van and come to your house and help you toss your laptop across the room. Cause listen, like, never seen
Listen,
anything like that.
everybody was so frustrated. And I think everybody was a little apprehensive and anxious. And, even though we had to make a couple of changes and everything, and it was frustrating me to the point where I did everything to the specifications that were required, and then it would still come back with not being approved. And it's like, okay, why is it not being approved?
Right,
Because I've done it to the specifications that they're asking for, the trim size and everything, and it's still not taking. So I went and I printed it out, and I was like, okay, if I can print this, there's absolutely no bleed over, there's no anything that's out of place, out of everything centered the way that it's supposed to be. So I am really unsure of what to do. But I figured it out, got it done, and I'm grateful for it.
me too, me too. It has been an experience to say the least. Because I've never seen anything like that happen as far as like the cover goes. Because that was wild to me, and
Yeah,
just going checking emails every day. Because I don't check my email, so
right.
for you to text me, go look at your email, see what it say, and like it was a humbling experience for one thing, and it just like it makes me think of how we always say he may not come when you want him, but he always on time,
Right,
because everybody actually went through on the day that we had set out to go through on, um, which I guess nobody really thought it was going to happen that way in the beginning. After
right.
the first couple of times of it not being the way that you wanted it to be, but
Right. And the crazy part about that, like when we went through the whole little upload together, the
mhm,
steps and everything, you saw everything that I had put in, and it had nothing to indicate that there was an issue with the cover. No
right,
indication whatsoever. And that was the crazy part about the whole situation, is because you see everything that's going through, and there's nothing that is going to give a red flag to say that it's not going to work.
right,
But needless to say, God works how He works, and I always depend on Him to make sure that what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I think that's another reason why I wasn't too irritated at the fact that it wasn't doing. I was more annoyed at anything, but I knew it was going to work itself out.
right,
And I think everybody was like, I don't want to get on your nerves. I don't want to bother. Child, call me, text me, do whatever you need to do.
right.
So that you understand that I am working and it is not a problem, because you are going to be happy at the end of result.
Follow me with this one. I know that you deal with Chiari malformation. Um,
Hmm.
so my question to you is, how do you work through having your own business, working a 9 to 5, and then still dealing with your health?
Uh, I give that all to God, because He provides all the things that I need to get through everything that I go through. Like last week, it was really difficult. And last night, even though I had my own podcast, I literally was in bed all day. And then after I finished my podcast, I got very, very dizzy, and my son had to help me to my room
Wow.
because I got really, I don't know what it was, but I got really lightheaded and dizzy, and he had to help me to my room. But even in the midst of days like that, and having the really bad headaches and being in just pain, I muster through because I got things I got to take care of. And as long as I keep God in the forefront, He's going to make sure that I'm able to achieve what it is that I set out to do.
Right.
So that's how I'm able to do all that I do. And not think about it too much. Like I might complain here and there because I'm in pain. I might get a little irritable because I'm in pain. But I hope people don't take that personally, because when you're in pain, you are irritable. You know, I've been dealing with some issues today while being at work and working a 12-hour shift. But I pulled through it. I'm not complaining about it. I was a little irritated with my boss, but outside of that, I still did what was necessary. Patients got taken care of, and that's the main thing.
Right.
It is a green light. Please go. I'm sorry, I'm driving.
And she has road rage, y'all. Um, so
Well, this
too.
car in front of me literally just stopped at a green light. Like literally in the middle of the street, the light is green. There's absolutely no reason for them to stop. Nothing was coming across the street. The wind's not blowing too hard. I have no clue why they decided just to stop at the green light.
It's people still reliving Hurricane Helene. When the lights was out and we sat there because we didn't know what to do. Because
Yeah,
nobody wanted to treat it like a four-way stop. But
right. I could see that. However, there was no cars in the cross direction either. So I just don't know. I just don't
so,
think they were prepared to go.
so I just can't give them the benefit of the doubt, huh?
No, not in this situation. Mm-mm. No.
I wanted you to explain what Chiari malformation is, because you may have viewers who've never heard of it or have never heard your story. Um, I would just like to go back to that before going
Okay.
further.
Okay, well, Chiari malformation is a serious neurological condition, and it's basically, I'm gonna try to put it in layman's terms. It's basically where the base of the skull protrudes through the bottom of the skull, where the skull is supposed to be completely closed, where there is no opening at the bottom, where the spinal cord meets the top of the brain. So in my case, there's an opening, and the base of my brain comes through that little hole. And it causes excruciating headaches. It causes balance issues, memory problems, um, hoarseness in the voice. It causes heart palpitations. It's basically the main function of the brain, where the cerebellum is the main function of the brain. And so anything that creates pressure right there is where most of my issues come from, because it also regulates the body temperature and things of that nature as well. So it's like when you have a brand new car is running very, very well, and then suddenly your transmission blows in your car. Well, there's a decompression brain surgery that is offered. However, it's like if you replace the transmission in your car doesn't run the same anymore. It doesn't matter that the transmission has been rebuilt. It's a brand new transmission, doesn't matter. It's basically like traumatic brain injury. However, it is a condition that you are born with. It is not a condition that you can contract or that you can pick up later in life. However, some people, when they are born with it, they don't really have any symptoms or anything until later in life.
Mm-hmm.
Me, however, I've had the symptoms all my life, but it was a problem. It was a problem being properly diagnosed. I was misdiagnosed for years with just having migraines, and migraines were not the cause. I used to have nosebleeds, not only just the nosebleeds, but I would have temperature issues where I was constantly hot or cold. I would have heart palpitations. My voice would go hoarse, and people would think that I would be sick or whatever. But I didn't find this out until I started experiencing this in the late teens after I had my daughter. So I was roughly around 19, where the numbness in my hands and my feet, and it would only be 1 foot or one hand, and it
Oh,
was never both at the same time. So it
right.
was always confusing because it would go from the right foot to the left foot to the right hand to the left hand, and it was just like, okay. Then I would get these headaches in the back of my head that would be so bad that nothing that I could take, nothing that I could do to ease it. And it's not like a typical migraine, because
Right.
a migraine is basically just on one side. And mine would be at the back of the brain, back of my skull, and it would have like a burning sensation as well. And so, couple that headache with a migraine headache, it is excruciating. So, I know the difference between just a regular migraine and a Chiari headache. And when I have both Chiari and a migraine headache, I can't function like I want to function. But I still push through, even though it is very difficult.
Yeah, I've witnessed what your push through looks like. I've seen you push through on some times where myself, your kids, and some other people have told you to get somewhere and sit down, but you don't, and you keep going, and that's like one of the things that I admire most about you is how you you keep going and you press through, and even when it looks like it's never gonna get better, you still, hey girl, hey. But yeah, like you push through, and for that,
Yeah.
I'm proud of you because you know how I rock. You know what I do,
Yes.
and and I'm
Yeah.
getting better. I'm getting better because today I'm not 100%. Um,
Hmm.
spina bifida has reared its ugly head today, and so, but God is still good, and I'm able to do what I need to do with no excuses. What I want to ask you now is, what would you tell somebody that wants to work a regular job, 8, 12 hours, start their own business, no matter what it is, and still deal with a health issue? What advice would you give that person?
The advice that I would give to them is, you got to have the mindset and the determination to actually go after what it is that you want. So first and foremost, that's the number one thing.
Hmm.
You got to be determined. If you set a goal for yourself, if you want to see yourself in a successful position, you have to have the mindset to understand that there's going to be more hard days than it's going to be easy days, especially when you're building, because it's a hard thing to do. So go to God, make sure that you have Him included in the plan, and ask Him to provide everything that it is that you're going to go through, because you're going to go through some hard times, and you're going to go through days where it's just like, look, Lord, I don't know if this is really for me.
Right,
But if you really want it, God will provide everything that you need. So write out the plan and write it out so that you can see it. Once you see it, then start taking the steps to actually make it happen.
right. Um, hmm. Where would you like to see your business go from here? Like, you hit the ground running, and like it's been amazing just watching, you know, being on the sidelines, watching people come to you, with different kind of projects and things that that they come up with, and you put your magic to it, and then it's just like, here you go. So, like, what's next?
I honestly don't know what's next. I just hope that I'm being obedient to what God is telling me to do, because the vision that He showed me um earlier this year, and I'm just hoping I'm putting the steps together to actually make it happen. And basically it is a building, because I want people to be able to come to a building to
Mhm.
be able to actually visit with other authors. Also, I had in this vision that he gave me is that in the front of this building is basically where people come in, they sign in,
Mhm.
and there's a little coffee sitting area where they can make themselves a glass of tea or some coffee. And then in the back is basically where they can sit at the laptops and actually start to write their books and learn how to format and do the editing and all of that. So it's basically like a one-stop shop where they can actually come in and get hands-on instructions on how to write their book, how to put it together, how to set up different types of workshops, how to, just do it themselves, and me being able to teach them what I know from the steps that I've taken to get where I am right now. So that's the vision that he showed me. So I'm just hoping that I'm on the right path to actually making it a reality.
It's gonna happen because God said so. It's gonna happen. Um, you're also a podcast host. What
Yes.
what is the name of your podcast, and what is your platform?
My podcast is Believe in the Journey. And the reason I titled it Believe in the Journey is because we all go through different stages in our lives, and it's a journey that we're on. Life is a journey. It's filled with ups and downs, highs and lows, ins and outs. People come, people go, and everything that you have gone through in this life is part of who God has created you to be. And sometimes we get so lost and hung up on the bad things in life that we stay there. And we
Right.
don't understand that just because it's darkness right now, that there won't be sunshine tomorrow.
Mm,
You know, weeping may endure for the night, but the sunshine comes in the morning. So you
absolutely.
got to be willing to go through some of those hard times to receive the best times of your life. And I don't want people to think that, okay, I'm down and out now and I can't get to the other side, but I've been praying and asking God to get me to the other side. But are you actually taking the steps to being obedient to what God is telling you to do? So
Right.
my platform is based on the journey of life and understanding that we've all been designed for a purpose here. And once you start going through the purpose and putting the pieces together, because every piece and every situation, every chapter in your life is a puzzle piece of who you have been created to be in your purpose for God.
Right.
And so when you start to walk in that purpose, you start to understand that nothing you went through was for nothing.
Right.
Basically, it had a purpose. And so that's basically what my platform with Believe in the Journey is about.
Where would you like to see your your podcast go to in the future? What would you like to see happen with it?
Um, I don't I really don't know what I would like to see it go to. I just want to be able to make sure that God gets the credit
Hmm.
for bringing the people to me, and I'm able to provide them what they need when they come on the show. Um, I can say that I want people to feel at home when they're guests on my show. I want them to be comfortable. I don't ever want them to feel as if they're being interviewed, because I don't really do interviews.
Right.
I have conversations and I let God lead the conversations. So I'm just hoping that maybe one day um, it can be a syndicated podcast, maybe.
I think that we're rocking with the right person because Angela's vision for us has always been a phenomenal one. Even when people start to fall off and, you know, there's times when we do shows and our guests don't show up, and there's been times where hosts couldn't show up, and it still gets carried through to get to point A to point B, and I just feel like it's going to be so much greater than what it is right now. Like, I am enjoying this new platform. I like the whole setup about it. It's
Yeah.
it's different. But Travita, I'm not gonna keep you because I know you're ready to get out of the car and go in the house.
Oh, well, I'm not even at home yet. I'm waiting on Nate to get off work. So my day is not over yet.
Got you, got you. I definitely got you.
My
Do
day
you
is not over yet. So,
do you see yourself hosting like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a forum or something to where you can bring people together to teach them how to write write in a way that it makes sense, but still tell their story without taking away their actual words. Because a lot of times, when you deal with certain, people that go in and reword your story, and they make up these big words that you wouldn't normally use or whatever.
right.
So, you know, um, where's your vision with that?
I want to start hosting workshops
Mm,
first, to be able to allow people to come in and see what that process is like from someone who's gone through it from the beginning.
right.
Because it's really easy to submit your stuff to a editor and a publisher, but to actually see somebody that has gone through the step by step process themselves, it makes it a little bit more humbling when you have that person who's willing to teach you step by step and you can see them and you can see the progress. That's one of the things that I'm grateful for myself because, when I did my first book, like I said, it did not look perfect. It looked like a little kid had done it. But, and not in the sense of the poetry itself, but the formatting and the fonts and things like that that were in the book, it did not have a sense of unity, togetherness,
Right.
when I put it together. But the greatness that I saw within that was I was able to see my growth. I
Mm,
was able to see how the process worked. I was also able to understand that it wasn't designed for perfection. It was
mm,
designed for me to be able to learn, because not only do I have this condition, Chiari malformation, I also had a stroke. And so my brain has been affected in multiple ways. And so I have to keep my mind active. So being able to see the growth, move from one spot to the next, to be able to see that, I want people to be able to come to me and I show them where I started. It's a physical representation of this is what I started with. Because most of the time, when you have a person that's teaching these things, they've gone to someone else and they don't see the rough version. All
right.
they see is the finished product. Well, I have a finished product, but it's not perfect. And
Right.
I want you to see the process of me going through and learning step by step. And so I'm grateful for that. And that's what I want to be able to show people, because when people can see the the blueprint,
Hmm.
and the blueprint didn't look like the finished product, I think it resonates more with people in that sense, versus people coming in on the outside and they see the finished product and yeah, they want the finished product, but some people are actually interested in how it was made, how it got there. And that's what I want to be able to show people.
So, are you working on anything special right now?
I'm working on the book for my mom,
Hmm.
and it's called From Fractured to Fulfilled. The healing of the relationship between myself and my mom
Mhm.
before she transitioned over, and the conversations that we had, and it's bringing closure. And I will tell you that it writing this one is taking me back to my childhood in ways that I had not brought out in overcoming childhood trauma, because now I'm simply focusing on the relationship with my mom. Where in overcoming childhood trauma, my journey to healing, that book I talked about the relationship with both of my parents.
Okay.
And so, not just my parents, it's just the relationship that I had with family, the relationship that I had with my ex husband, and how all of those things that I went through, how it led me to raising my children in certain ways and being more open and honest with my kids, and not having that what happens in this house stays in this house mentality. If I said something to you, let me know if I hurt your feelings, because I can't fix it if I don't know anything about it. So I made sure that I had an open door policy with my kids. But one thing, while writing that book, I did not know how much my children had never seen me in a vulnerable state. My
Right.
kids feel like I'm Superwoman,
Yeah.
and I had to apologize to them for them not seeing me. My kids didn't see me cry unless I was in excruciating pain. They never saw the softer side of me. And so, that's what this next book is going to be about. And my youngest son had to tell me when I was dealing with my mom, and going to the facility to check on her every day after work, after working my hours and everything, I would go and sit with her. And I came home one day and I sat in my recliner, and my son was like, "Let it out." And I was like, I don't really know how to let it out, and he was like, "You can't be strong all the time, and
Right.
it's okay for you to cry. It's okay for you to feel the emotions that you're feeling." And from that moment on, I've been able to understand that it's okay for me to feel what I feel. And I've given myself permission to actually feel whatever it is that I'm feeling in that moment, especially if it's a moment where it comes up and I'm missing my mom, missing her silliness, her goofiness, or whatever. I give myself permission to be in that moment, no
Right.
matter where I am. And this book right here that I'm working on for her is definitely a tough one, I will say, but it's for her,
Yeah.
and it's for her. So,
There is nothing like that, lady. Like the way you chew me out, and she looking at me like, why you put up with that? And I'm
yeah, and she told me, she talked about, "I couldn't be your friend." Okay, that's fine. You not my friend, you my mama.
like,
So,
she told me, she said, baby, I don't know how you do that. Mm-mm. But
yeah, she told me, but then she told me I was her best friend. So, and I really and truly believe that, because no matter how much my mama got on my nerves and we argued or whatever, anytime that lady called me and I could be there, I was there, you
yeah,
know. Even though there were days when I was adamant and saying, "I ain't doing it. I don't care. Somebody else got to pick up the slack. I'm just not doing it.
yeah,
I'm not going." But the way she raised me, and the heart that her and God gave me, I couldn't do it. So I sucked it up. I complained, but I still did
right,
it.
got it done.
And
Because I remember,
so
like the last couple weeks before she passed, you was like, I'm doing this by myself. And
mhm.
I told you, this is your time with your mom. God designed that moment for you to be able to receive whatever it is that she needed to give you, and for you to give her whatever it was that you felt like you needed to give her. And I appreciate you actually sharing your mom with me because we done been on some benches behind Miss Alfredia.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but um,
most definitely. Ooh, Lord have
but I
mercy.
wouldn't have had it any other way. I wouldn't have had it any other way. Even like when you picked me up for the baby shower, and I heard her, but I didn't see her, and I was like, I know Trevita ain't in that car talking to herself. It's like, who's she talking
Mm,
to? And so, just being able to be around your family and see the love that your children shower you with and those beautiful grandbabies, it's something. It's something. And I'm just waiting on Sky to have her own podcast show because she
oh
ready.
yeah,
She
oh
ready.
yeah. That
Something
is
to
my
say.
little assistant in every capacity. I told her when she was probably about maybe 3 to 6 months old. I can't necessarily remember, but I told her, I said, "You're going to be my assistant for my business." And when I tell her that whenever I get my laptop out or whatever, that's the first thing that she's like, okay, work, TT, work, TT. And I'm like, okay, well, you gonna check the emails? Yes. Yes. I'm like, okay, well, you check the emails, and she'll get her little pen and pad. And so she swears she checking emails. You ought to see her little typing fingers. And I'm like, baby, you ain't on the right thing, but it's okay.
Right. She trying.
So
She
yeah, anything that she sees me do, she definitely is gonna try.
right.
Um, I braid hair, so she tries to do that whenever I'm doing her mama's hair or my hair. She tries to help out with that, and it's funny to try to see her little fingers do that.
Yeah.
Um, but
Because they're learning
that's my
so easy.
sister.
Yeah. So, if someone wants to reach out to you to have you as a guest on their podcast or to reach out to you for your publishing, for help with that, how do they reach you?
They can find me on Facebook, Travita Harris. You can find me on Instagram, Travita_Harris 78 on Instagram. For Wings of Transformation, you can send me a message on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram with that as well, as Wings of Trans 21 on Instagram, Wings of Transformation Publishing on Facebook. But you can send me a DM in either space. I'm gonna find it. Um, you can contact me directly if you want. Phone number 864-376-9261. I'm available. You know, most of the time I say text me first,
Because
because I receive
not
that a
about
whole lot faster, and I respond a whole lot faster, because my emails, trying to get into each different ones, it takes a whole lot more time. But always send a text or send me a DM on Facebook or Instagram. I get those a lot faster than I can get to the emails. But I do check my emails every single day. I try to check them first thing in the morning, mid afternoon, and before I go to bed at night. So I'm always working, I'm always doing something, and I don't want anybody to ever feel like they're bothering me when it comes to answering questions about publishing. Because if I don't have the answer, then I will research and find the answer that you are looking for. Um, Also, you can purchase my books directly from me, or you can purchase them on Amazon. If you purchase them directly from me, you can get a signed copy. Otherwise, Amazon, you can definitely get them from there. But there are three books there. The first one is My Journey, My Peace. That is the poetry book, My Soul Release. The second book is Struggle, Strength, and Success. Kiari Malformation Won't Win.
Mm-hmm.
Third book is Overcoming Childhood Trauma, My Journey to Healing. And also, there was a fourth one in there, and that is A Queen's Mindset to Self Healing, to Mental Health, Wellness, and Self Love. It is basically like a workbook and journal. So, those are all four available on Amazon. And then this last one that we have together
Mm-hmm.
is From Their Eyes Anthology. So that one is available on Amazon as well.
Okay. When can we expect your next publishing?
Well, you and I are working on one. Well, you're working on one. Uh, so that's supposed to be January.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, the one for my mom, I have a deadline in mind,
Mm-hmm.
but I know how I get when it comes to my emotions. So
Right.
I'm not going to put a deadline on that one just yet because I want to make sure that I give her the justice that she needs when telling her story in this book. So that's why I haven't put a deadline whenever anybody asks. I don't have one on that one. I have one in mind, but I won't say that it's final. So you'll know when it's final when you see it. So
When can people tune in to your podcast?
every second Sunday and fourth Thursday of the month at 8 p.m. on the Crew Podcast Network. So we are them divas. We
Them
do
Divas.
yes, we do a lot. And so there's something for everybody on this network. So if you're not tuning in to me on those dates, make sure that you're tuning in to the other ladies because we got something for everybody right now. We are close to wrapping up season 2, and season 3 is going to be better than this season was because we are all we've gotten all the jitters out, I could say.
Yeah.
um it's not so much that we're running away from the camera anymore.
Right.
I can't necessarily say that too much for me, but most people don't believe I'm shy anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So just tune in to the show. Tune in now. If you ain't tuning in to mine, tune in to somebody's because we got something for everybody, and there's always going to be a message because God leads us all. He
Right.
has a purpose for all of us, and that's why we've all been connected the way that we have. We support each other in more ways than one.
Right.
um it's a sisterhood in every capacity, so tune in because we got something for everybody.
Any last parting words you would like to express?
You know my saying, stay out of God's business. The only thing He needs you to do is be obedient to what He's called you to do. Outside of that, I ain't got nothing else.
Well, y'all, I want to thank you all for watching tonight, for tuning in to Delayed But Not Denied, the podcast. Travita, thank you for always, anytime I call you, if you're not like at work, you always show up for me. You always have, and I love you for that. And I can only hope that I'm doing the same thing for you when you need me. But
Yes, ma'am.
um, and as I always say, what's meant for you will always find you. You
Yep.
may be delayed, but what's for you will never be denied unto you. So, until next time, people, we love you. We thank y'all for tuning in. Good night.